from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for January 2024. So on January 25th at 12:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are going to have our full moon taking place at 5 degrees 15 minutes of Leo energy. So let's unpack. A full moon is a full illumination of information, details that up until this particular point have been hidden away from our awareness. This is a full illumination of situations, circumstances, scenarios that in Leo energy are creating a little bit of a heart activation, a change in heart, change in priorities, change in vision and dreams. Even more than that, though, this is a fixed fire sign, Leo energy, the heart and soul of the zodiac. This is us returning to our real, raw, true, authentic soul selves. And because a full moon is about endings, closures, release, surrendering to a lot of these emotions that need to come up to the surface, that need to be acknowledged, that need to be integrated and released, this has a lot to do dating back to August, September of 2023, when not only we were in Leo season, but we also had Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, retrograde in Leo energy. That was the beginning of this new version of self. We brought this new version of self out to play under the new moon in Scorpio back in November. We anchored and integrated this new version of self and the new timelines that come along with this new version of self under the solstice energy, December 21st, that got finalized, that we finally started to realize under the new moon in Capricorn, January 11th. So this full moon in Leo is doing a lot for us. First of all, it's showing us where it is that, yes, we have changed. We have moved out of who it is that we've had to be for survival, for circumstance. We are now remembering a little bit more on who it is that we actually are. We're returning to our soul source energy, realizing who and what makes us happy, who and what actually builds and encourages us to be our fullest expression of self. This full moon in Leo is not only giving us an opportunity to have this heart activation, to really release a lot of the emotion that we've been holding and harboring on our heart space, but it is the final hurrah of letting go of the fragmented part of the old version of self and the old situations, circumstances, realities that old version of self has created. Again, reminder, the 20th of January was the pivot point. The Sun and Pluto come together, conjunct at that 29th degree in Capricorn energy that we will never see again, before both of them walking into Aquarius energy, the breakthrough energy. Also, Mercury cleared his post-retrograde shadow period on that same day. So our lower level intellect is now working at optimal speed. Our highest level intellect aligning with the higher realms of intelligence, life force energy, soul self, now realizing where it is that there has been this pivot point, this major change, this major transformation that under the Leo energy is definitely going to hit home in our heart space, in that heart chakra. So there's a lot to unpack here, and I'm hoping that you will go ahead and either flip to the section in your Aquarius season e-guide where we do talk about the full moon in Leo, or download the moon guide for the full moon in Leo, or both. That would be really good for you to stay in alignment with these particular energies. But what we need to unpack is the fact that the sun being in Aquarius energy is looking for improvement, looking for progress, looking to return us to the highest vision, the highest identity, the highest timeline that we could possibly visualize, realize, conjure up for ourselves. The full moon in Leo energy that sits across from Aquarius energy is showing us where we have to really get real and vulnerable and raw with our heart space. Many of us get caught up on this egoic plan of making things happen. Many of us realize that we're pushing for goals, for dreams, for visions that we're no longer even in alignment with. This is going to have a major impact on the path, the passion, the desires that we're currently trying to conjure up and start working towards, just as much as is it going to impact our relationship dynamics and our money matters. We are growing in our self-worth. We are strengthening in this identity. And therefore, kind of grieving, releasing, surrendering that last part of the old version of self is going to collapse some of the situations and circumstances that old version of self, that old vibration, that old frequency has created. Now, this is going to be a heavy full moon, but once we kind of get some things off of our chest and really kind of get that energy out of our physical body and get real and raw and vulnerable with ourselves, with our heart space, with what it is that we actually want to pursue, there is going to be a very dramatic shift from sadness, from grief, from heaviness, from the weight to light and fluffy excitement, to passion, to desire. Now, is it all going to happen in the course of one night? Well, it could. Anything is possible. But typically speaking, we need a little bit of time for these activations to be realized. So where the Aquarius energy is kind of painting a picture of what could be, we have to be real and raw and vulnerable with ourselves in this present moment to see whether or not we're actually supporting the path, the direction leading us to this vision and dream, or whether we're blocking it by holding on to what once was, what could have been, what it is that we created out of the old version of self, that old awareness, that old vibration, that old frequency. The Leo energy, being the heart and soul of the zodiac, is the vibration of our higher selves now needing to be fully expressed through the physical form, through this meat suit, through this ego avatar. And of course, a full moon is putting us in a situation where there's tension, where there's conflict, where there is this buildup of energy and emotion for us to have an outburst, for us to have a tantrum, for there to be an emotional release, so that we can clear the space out, get focused on what it is that we actually want to pursue while we listen to the higher version of ourselves. So what we also have to consider, and again, if you download the moon guide, you'll have it in front of you, there is an elemental energy profile that is still very dominant in earth energies. And that's because we are integrating and anchoring in two new timelines. We are having a major pivot point on what needs to change in our physical realm. The other elements, such as fire, air, water, they're all balanced out with two elements each. That 222 energy is very important. It is a coding sequence that we will be playing out February 22nd, when Mars and Venus come together for that lover's kiss, that conjunction in Aquarius energy. Again, if you haven't listened to the 2024 year ahead overview, definitely recommend that you go ahead and take a listen. The full moon in Leo is going to be fully realized and manifest February 22nd. That is when Mars and Venus come together conjunct, balancing of the scales, balancing of the masculine and feminine energies. And in Aquarius energy, we will see some very serious progress, not only with the rebalancing of the energies within ourselves, but the rebalancing of the energy exchange in our existing relationship dynamics. So this is us kind of defragging the operating system within us that was the old operating system. There's still some little data packets that we need to clear up from this new operating system that we downloaded, that we started working with just a couple of weeks ago under that new moon in Capricorn. Again, Capricorn energy brings into form some of the changes, some of the identity shifts, some of the vibrations and frequencies that, of course, just got introduced to us while Venus was retrograding in that Leo energy back in August, September of 2023. So when you have the moon guide in front of you, not only is the elemental energy profile very indicative of this 222 coding that we will be experiencing late February, but you're also going to see that there is a lot of activity going on here in the chart in the sky, if you will. First of all, the sun and Pluto are working very, very closely together. Now, we know that already. We know that they're in Aquarius energy, but they're working together. This is the life force energy that we all have within us, going through a major change, major transformation, again, Pluto energy, in order to reach the highest version of self, the highest timelines, and make some serious improvements and progress to our current situation. That's all Aquarian energy. We have the sun and Pluto directly opposing the moon in this Leo energy, the heart and soul. We need to release something. We need to get some things off of our chest. We need to realize that we're pushing for visions, for dreams, for goals, for motives that was based off of the old version of self. We need to realize that. We need to let it go. We need to create the space within ourselves in order to realize what it is that we would prefer to manifest in the place of the things that we're no longer in alignment with. There's a major tension point, major conflict point, and this highlights for us where change and transformation is needed in our soul space first, before we're going to see it in the physical realm. We also have Mercury and Mars working very close together here in the Capricorn energy. Mercury is our headspace. Mars is our physical actions, our passions, our desire. It's how we assert ourselves here in the physical realm. Having them work so closely together, they're only 1 degree away from each other, means that we are aggressive enough to step into our warrior type of energy, to take action and make moves based off of the thoughts that we're having, the ideas that we've been sitting in, where we've been planning and strategizing for our long-term visions, our long-term goals. And again, Venus, the heart activation, just moved into this Capricorn energy, and she is thinking about her long-term vision, her long-term goals, and recognizing what needs to change in this here and now in order to set us up for success of manifesting that vision, that goal, that dream that now our heart and soul wants us to pursue. So, of course, there's a whole list of both the pros and cons of different aspects taking place under this full moon. Definitely explore that in the guide as well. But basically, the energy that we are kind of being pressurized under with this full moon is not only going to activate a lot of emotion that we do need to release in healthy ways to get out of our physical form, but it's also very cleansing. We have to consider the fact that fire energy, which Leo is, not only helps us kind of burn through the cords and the attachments to the past, to the old version of self, but it's very regenerative. It is very rejuvenating. It's inspiring. It's exciting. It's passion. It's desire. It is the spark, the fire, the flame that needs to be ignited within us in order for us to build ourselves up, to take action, to make moves in a bold, brave, courageous way that we have likely been fearing to do for a very long time. This is going to be very intense. And again, this is a time when we're not going to be able to sit still. We're not going to be able to bite our tongue. We're not going to be able to close ourselves off to a lot of the lies and delusions that we've been telling ourselves in order to stay the course of the old vision, the old dreams, the old goals that the old version of self had. And of course, recognizing that we're currently in a situation and circumstance in the present moment that was built off of who it is that we had to be. Now we're stepping into who it is that we actually are. But we do have to remove, again, the fragments, the data packets that belong to the old operating system. So again, some of the particular aspects taking place are very interesting under this particular moon event. One thing I will also throw at you is that the full moon in Leo is creating a square, so tension and conflict with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, in this Taurus energy, which has the ability for us to be a little bit extra, a little bit more dramatic than we need to be. We could bite off way more than we could chew. We could have this emotional outburst, this semi-tantrum in a way that is just overly exaggerated. And so we do need to kind of pace ourselves, get a little bit, I'm going to say, grounded, rooted in the right kind of energy so that we don't get carried away. Again, the Leo energy can be attention seeking, both in good ways and in bad ways. But with this aspect with Jupiter, we definitely want to prepare for an over exaggerated emotional state, and therefore just be prepared that we're not projecting a false sense of emotion out into the world, onto the people that we deem to be of worth and value and closest to us. So this is definitely a turning point. We knew it would be. We knew Aquarius season was the pivot point where things were going to turn from the breakdown to the breakthrough. But right now we have to have a breakthrough of emotion, a breakthrough through our heart space, our soul space. We have to have a little bit of a breakdown in our emotional realm in order to understand that we're actually blocking ourselves from improving, from aligning with the highest version of self, and of course, the highest timelines. So I hope that the resources out there help you to get on track, help you to stay in alignment with this energy. I hope that you get real and raw and vulnerable with yourself and do the work in that heart space to really acknowledge what has changed for you or what needs to change for you in order to set yourself free.